Now closing in on 8 years on the Liverpool bench, Jurgen Klopp's stint at Anfield is his longest with any club, but while it's been a stellar spell, there were signs last year that the German's methods may need a rethink. The 67 points his side took in 2022-23 was the lowest tally they've managed in any full campaign under Klopp, with their fewest wins and most goals conceded too, while they missed out on Champions League football for the first time since 2017, a 6-year period in which they reached 3 finals. And the manager now needs to find a way to revive performances while saying goodbye to the 11 which brought him so much success, with Wijnaldum, Milner, Firmino and Mane gone, and Salah, Van Dijk, Henderson and Alisson all in their 30s. Last season was so poor that it even saw speculation Klopp could be replaced, and while he of course retained the support of the club hierarchy, winning the club a Champions League and first title in 30 years will do that, there's only so long this level of performance will be tolerated, as Liverpool fell behind not only Manchester City and the improving Arsenal, but also a Newcastle side fighting relegation just 18 months ago, and a Manchester United still acclimatising to Erik ten Hag. That's hard to swallow for fans who've seen their club average 89 points a season over the last 4 years, and though individual players have generally come in for more criticism than the coach, Trent, Van Dijk and Fabinho receiving special attention, it's hard to escape an obvious truth. If one player is playing badly, it's on them. If everyone is playing badly, it's on the boss. Add to the fact that the supposedly frugal Reds hierarchy have parted with €250 million since last summer, and Klopp needs to oversee a significant improvement this term to demonstrate that he's the man to build the next great Liverpool team. So how did we get here, and what can we expect in 2023-24? The first thing to note about last year is that it wasn't simply Klopp's medals which kept him in the Liverpool job. It was also the fact that anyone at the club who was honest with themselves knew that the situation was not entirely, maybe not even mainly, the manager's fault. Michael Edwards, the architect of a transfer team which built perhaps the best man-for-man 11 in the world at its height, left Melwood at the end of the 2021-22 season, and immediately recruitment changed direction, abandoning the dominant strategy of targeting stats darlings with high upside in favour of dropping a club record fee on Darwin Núñez, an exciting player but one with just 2 years in Portugal to justify his price. A forward was a necessary purchase with Mane departing, but spending so much on Núñez cut the club's resources to address its other issues. The club, and transfers are clearly a club enterprise at Liverpool, knew they needed a midfielder, but when they lost out on Aurélien Tchouaméni to Real Madrid, they couldn't afford to overpay for a star, and so, rather than bring in a distant second choice, they elected to ride out the year with their ageing midfield core and go again in the summer of 2023. When Bellingham, Rice and inevitably some new names were likely to be available. Unfortunately, they'd underestimated just how deep into decline their players were, explaining why Klopp was forced into an embarrassing climb down from his claim that he didn't need a midfielder after just a month of the campaign. James Milner was already down to under 1,000 minutes in the 21-22 campaign, but his tiring legs meant his output dropped by 15 passes a game and a whole defensive action from nearly 5 to under 4. Henderson at 32 was undergoing a similar process, sliding to 77 touches a game from 105 just 2 years earlier. Thiago's always shaky fitness limited him to just 14 starts all year. Compounding all these difficulties was the inclusion of Harvey Elliott, a talented but lightweight youngster with next to no defensive presence. But even still, the situation might have been salvageable if loan signing Arthur was anything more than a warm body, and if not for the inexplicable case of Fabinho, looking horribly unfit and clumsy at 28 years old, winning only 38% of the tackles he attempted across the full campaign. And it was the worst possible season for the midfield to collapse, as new personnel and attacking patterns robbed the Reds of a coherent pressing frontline. Klopp's first wave of defence has always been his outstanding offensive trio, with Salah, Mane and Firmino making 3.95 tackles and interceptions per 90 in their league-winning season of 2019-20. But last year, the 3 most used forwards, Salah, Núñez and Gakpo, could only muster 3.3 tackles and interceptions a game. A small drop-off admittedly, but coupled with their PPDA, which saw them go from disrupting opponents every 8 passes to every 9 passes, it added up to a clear picture. A less sharp and predatory Liverpool, easier to play through and struggling to regain their fear factor. Without the force field around the opposition box their telepathic trio used to provide, Liverpool couldn't control territory as easily, spending 32% of game time in the opposition third, down from 35%, and 26% in their own third, up from 22%. As much as the defenders had individually bad seasons, they also simply had to make more plays, with the most used back four attempting 6 tackles a game, up from 4.6 the year before. And that's always a recipe for trouble, in this case resulting in the Reds conceding 9.6 shots a game, up from 7.8, and more worryingly, conceding very high quality chances too, the average XG of each shot against them standing at 0.13, the worst in the Premier League. To Klopp's credit, he kept innovating, and his decision to move Trent Alexander-Arnold into midfield paid off over the last 10 games of 22-23, as Liverpool had the 4th best defensive record by XG against, behind the weird group of City, Palace and Villa, letting in 1 XG a match compared to 1.6 across the rest of the year. That's still some way shy of Klopp's best defences at Anfield. After all, the team allowed just 22 goals in the 2018-19 season. But the German coach has spent big to reinforce the central zone this summer, and he'll hope that Alexis Mac Allister and Dominic Szoboszlai, a double signing costing £95 million to start and up to £140 million with add-ons, will improve his side's control and athleticism, providing the basis for the next great Liverpool 11. It's a pretty good plan. While Mac Allister and Szoboszlai both want to get forward, taking 30% and 40% of their touches in the opposition third respectively, they will at least provide huge energy just behind the attacking line, both rating in the top 11% in their position for pressures per 90 in 2022. Szoboszlai in particular has a great engine, with the analyst rating him 11th among all Bundesliga outfielders for sprints per game last term. And that means that while neither of them is a dedicated holding player, they'll reduce the amount of ground Fabinho, or a new 6 if the Brazilian moves to Saudi, will have to cover in front of the defence, a job made still easier by Trent Alexander-Arnold's new hybrid role. The use of 2 attacking midfielders is growing in popularity right now, as United pair Mason Mount with Bruno Fernandes and Arsenal plan to field Havertz alongside Ødegaard, but it seems particularly well suited to Klopp ball. The manager has always aimed to win back possession high upfield, and even last year they rated 2nd in the Prem for these turnovers, but that doesn't accurately demonstrate the drop-off, as they went from regaining the ball in the final third 11.7 times a game to 9.7, went from getting 71 shots from those situations to 52, and from scoring 7 goals to 4. With Szoboszlai and Mac Allister sitting just behind the attack, their counter-pressing efficiency should improve, and the Hungarians' comfort drifting wide should also allow Mohamed Salah to move into the middle when he wants, a needed boost for the Egyptian, who saw his touches in the box fall from 10 a game to 8 last year and his shots go from 4.3 to 3.3. So on the one hand, Klopp's prospects are positive. He's been handed a bunch of expensive tools to fix his team and return to the Champions League and title contention. But on the other, there's nowhere to hide this term, with big investment giving rise to big expectations, meaning the new boys need to adapt quickly. And Klopp's solutions need to hold. For example, Ibrahima Konate required to cover the whole right side of defence with Alexander-Arnold moving forward. If the Frenchman is unfit or off form, new problems could swiftly arise. And on a larger scale, Liverpool will hope for the seeds of future success to become visible in 2024, rather than relying once again on returning the veterans to top form. Put simply, they need one of their young forwards to step up and look like the next Salah, instead of continuing to run everything through the old one. Too much is generally made of Klopp's final season at Dortmund, when BVB fell 25 points from 2nd to 7th. Dortmund underperformed their excellent statistics all year, and would almost certainly have recovered the following campaign even if Klopp had stayed. But it's worth noting that Klopp was not sacked but walked when he felt his ideas were exhausted and he couldn't galvanise the club anymore. Another rough year, and whether club officials still have faith or not, the manager might take matters into his own hands. So that's our rundown of how Liverpool could look this coming season, but let us know what you think in the comments below. Could Klopp be sacked? Could he walk? Give us your opinion. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll never miss an upload. We'll see you next time.